There is no one asking. So when there's no one asking, the condition is met. So then he entered nirvana or passing away. But the problem is still linked to us that what if someone asks? What if someone asks, Sir, I still don't understand. Could you stay and teach? Well, that would be, that would be nice. So we can still have more teaching of the Buddha. But it just no one asking. So as it is, we only have the textbook. So that's in conclusion. This is the part that needs to be clarified. After the Buddha passed away, well, unfortunate events still also happen. It happened to the fact that after the monk passed away, there are many monks who are new and not used to the teaching, the rules, or still kind of like not properly training or still ordained without any peer or having good intention yet. Remember, in the earlier time of the Buddha, when he was starting religion, about 5 to 10 years, all monks having intense and willing to follow and practice. So they are very pure and strict in their conduct. But about 20 years after 10 years, there are monks or people who ordain. But this time they don't understand or having pure intention of to get rid of themselves, or understand the teaching or the purpose of ordination. What happened was that some did, oh, being a monk is so well respected, so nice. Maybe I could also train myself too. But they don't have any evil intention or anything. So they ordain, but their goals are not visible clear as the first generation yet. But about 20 years passed. A lot of people come to ordain. A lot of comfortable life. They do not, they do not sleep under the tree anymore. They have monastery, so they stay inside. And so they found that being a monk is very comfortable. Now this time, instead of trying to train themselves, they begin to have lacking on their practice. So as it is, they begin to making some offense that making people kind of like losing faith. So the Buddha begin to set the rule. And as it is, the rule begin to practice. When people begin to break, them having more rule. Kind of like when you are living in society. If there's nothing happen, you don't set the law yet. But when there's something happen, like someone went to murder, the first murder case, then they set the law that no one shall allowed to kill or something like that. So if you could kill, you could put in jail or punishment, something like that. So the Buddha having some kind of issue for the monk to practice. And as time goes for 45 years, in fact, the monk, when they ordain, now there are 227 rules to be practiced. That's the rule for monk to behave in their conduct. But the rule that doesn't set, but the Buddha teach, that doesn't mention. I was told, but I don't see the whole evidence yet, but I was told from the teaching monk in my temple that the rule that is not clarified or set in the scripture, there are more than 10,000 rules. So someone asked my master, so what would the monk do that doesn't make him breaking the offense? The master, he just smiled and he said, all you have to do is sitting still under the tree and close your eyes. You won't break any rule in this way. So like, whoa, something like this. And that's after the Buddha passed away, there are those kind of monks said, oh, yeah, the Buddha go, now we're free. We don't have to have any rule. We should just enjoy ourselves now. So when they have like this, the senior monk begin to see, oh, this is very dangerous. Not even 7 days, the Buddha passed away. There are people who are lacking like this. So he began to call all the enlightened ones who are still alive, come together in a meeting, and at the time they do not have they cannot write down the scripture in a scripture, so they have to chanting. So they have to come to the meeting. What did the Buddha teach? and they will be reciting in the sutra, and that is how survive until now. But in the past, in the first 100 years after the Buddha passed away, what they happen to do is that they're reciting, because all of the event, all of the thing that happened, as you have heard from the story that I mentioned about the kings, his heir, the politics in the time of the Buddha, they are quite complex, and sometimes when you write the truth, it is not pretty and it's against the politics. So that's they only do it in oral rather than written. When it's like that, they cannot. But after many generations, excuse me, after many generations pass away, the kings and the figures that mentioned in the oral, they are no longer alive. That is when they begin to written down. That's how it is. So that's starting. But for many years, like 100 or something passed, the monk that he taught, the Buddha taught, at the first few hundred years, there are monks who success and follow the teaching, and they become enlightened. As the Buddha mentioned before he passed away, he could only offer and show the way. But the person who walking toward the goal must be the person himself. And that's the Buddha. He is just regular person or human. He taught many beings. In the story, sometime that I mentioned, they are only human, but in the text, there are more than human, like animals or spirits or heavenly beings. There are all kind of beings come to learn from him and attain enlightenment as well. It is something that mentioned in the scripture. But as time goes, this is when the school of Buddhism begin to separate. When they starting about 400 years ago, the monk who are travel far and wide, remember when they were stay together, the monk travel too. So when they travel to the different places, they do not have car, they do not have plane. So when they travel, they go by foot. When they go by foot, when they want to have a meeting, it is sometimes take longer than the exact date. So sometimes when they said they want to have a meeting this month and they start on this day, the monk who journey from far away place, when they come, they could not make it on time. Once they arrive, the meeting already over. And they just thought, oh, I'm not part of the meeting. Then why should I follow the rule then? The dispute begin to, they begin to separate in their ways, their view. So the group that being that okay, the Buddha taught this. There is also one detail that the Buddha mentioned before he passed away. He mentioned that before he passed away, he said, in the future, there are some rules that will be difficult to follow or are not considered irrelevant to the time of the people. Something like this, okay? It can be adjusted. When he mentioned this, okay, everyone understand. But since he mentioned at the end that, is there anyone who having doubt, anything that wasn't clear? No one asked. So when the Buddha passed away, now when they had the meeting, when someone brought this up, the Buddha mentioned that some rule can be adjusted. What rule? Everyone was like, oh yeah, what rule? 227, 27, which one? So they said, oh, this rule can be adjusted. If it's very cold, we can drink to keep our body warm. What kind of drink? Alcohol? Yeah, it keeps the body warm. It's medicine. Well, wait a minute, something like that. So when it has some kind of situation like this, they cannot come to agreement. When it cannot come, the group that said, all right, to make it settle and without any dispute further, let's do this. Theravada, the practice of the old school, no adjust. That's one school. As for Mahayana, adjust in a way that the the community can survive and exist in that place. At first, I thought that the Mahayana practiced by eating only vegetable. But when I learned from my teaching monk, he said that according to the history, all the monks eating meat. But when they go into the region, which is now considered as China, the emperor having great respect to the monk, but the people in his, where he governed in his town, in his land, they are having the custom and the belief that they practice in the time, what is called, I think it's Taoism and Confucius. And so they practice of eating vegetable. So that is also, they believe that it's a practice of kindness and mercy to the animal, which is not bad. But the emperor want the people to also learning and, practice Buddhism. But if the monks still eating vegetable, they would not gain much respect. So that he come to ask the monk, could you tell the people, the monk, that don't eat won't eat only can they eat only meat? The monk said, oh, that's quite difficult. But they kind of like whatever the people offer, they eat. So that's when the people saw, oh, the monk can eat vegetable and meat. So they just offer more vegetable. So in the end, the monk stopped eating meat automatically. And that is how it came to the practice. This is how it slowly changed. Or for example, in the monk in the past, they wear the robes of orange or maroon or kind of like dark brown color. But when it's go to the China, this kind of color is more like it's the color of the emperor. So if the people respect monk more than the emperor, that would be good, right? So they change the color, things like that. And so these are things that begin to adjust. Thus, as time goes, there are the main practice or two schools in Buddhism. But this is the rough detail that I learned. But of course, those who are more expert, those who are listening to this may be having more reading, more knowledge than I am. But just to be on the safe side, this is what I have learned in my presentation or in my work, in my perspective. Okay, so that's two schools of Buddhism that exist until now. They are Theravada and Mahayana. And also as time goes, Mahayana itself begin to separate its own kind into the main group, which still practice in the mainland China, Taiwan, Korea, but in Tibet, they have their own school now. They call Vajrayana, which has become the well-known now in the West as Dalai Lama and his students. And so, it is something that need to be mentioned. However, is that all in the conclusion? So, as it is, the main practice of Theravada on the main Southeast Asia will be Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. And these are the practice in Theravada, which is they do not change the rule or the teaching of the Buddha. It doesn't say that it's good or better. It's just saying that it's true to the text to avoid conflict. So people who are able to follow, they just continue. But if they don't, they just have another choice, which is practice in Mahayana in either way. But all in all, the main thing to learn on this is that training the mind. And by training the mind, there are three ways. As a commoner, not for the monk they are higher form. For the commoner or regular people is practice of charity. When practice of charity is allow your mind to be kind, generous. When you practice observing morality or practice of training self-discipline, this will put your mind in control rather than follow whatever you desire. So when you have kindness and put your mind in control, not to think in the negative way when you come to meditate, three things, it will be in places. But as of now, for those of us who are new to meditation, yes, you are also enjoy, you like inner peace. But inner peace, if you want to maintain it, you have to practice these three. You cannot do one without another. If you can do only one, you're just gonna be where you are. But if you want to progress, it need to practice three. Some may disagree that, no, I don't want to give, I don't want to share. It's no problem. But remember, the basics rule of living in community. You want to have friends. You want to be associated, loved by everyone, no enemies. If you don't give, how you can make friends? Giving doesn't mean that giving possession alone. Give your smile, give your kind words, give your helping hand, all kind of give. This will be helping, but bit by bit. I remember someone said that when I feel like I am benefit to someone or helping someone, I see them smile. It makes me more satisfied than helping receiving someone's help. If you can get to that much and you feel that much, the condition of your mind are much more ready than before. If you notice yourself from the past, from those who don't give and those who give, you will see the difference. Those who give will not only thinking himself, but thinking of the other around him. But those who don't give, most likely he will only thinking about himself more than he thinking of the other. But it doesn't mean that he is selfish or anything. It's just that he don't think too much about others. But when he begin to give, he begin to be more open mind to the others. When you open minds to the other, when you meditate, your mind will be much more. You see, some people when they are meditate, they only feel like this. But when their mind are light or spacious, it's wider. Some even say that it has no limit. That is how the power of your mind when it's open. It's like that. That's how it's work. So as the Buddha, when he was practice or try to train himself to earn the Buddhahood, if his mind is not open, bigger than the universe, he cannot help other because he would only think about himself. But when he don't think about himself, his 45 years service that he had given, it much more value than the time that he had it for himself 29 years when he was a prince. If you understand this much, you will see now that practice of meditation cannot survive alone without practice of generosity and also observing morality or self-discipline. So if you practice this together, surely in the future, when you come to meditate, you will be much more progress, even though you don't know it. But when you are open your eyes, do things with others, your mind will be much more peaceful, more appreciate, and easier to smile. People around you can also love you more than before. And that is something I like to present. However, I like to announce one thing on this part, that next week, since tomorrow, next week and the week after, yeah, just next week, I will not. I will be in Hawaii, and the time is quite difficult for me to perform what is called Buddhist Knowledge. So there will be only the guiding video playing at the time on Saturday, but Sunday I will wake up around 3:30 to come for Inner Peace Sunday. That is, a program that cannot be missed. Therefore, 3:30, everyone, I will just scratch my butt, squeeze my eye, and come to join the, Inner Peace Sunday. All right, but that will be only one time. So otherwise, the whole schedule on the other day will be, quite difficult for me to handle. That's next week. There won't be Buddhist Knowledge, but there will be guiding Inner Peace daily video instead. All right. However, one more news I'd like to announce that I'm still negotiate with the abbot. Over here in America, it's quite difficult for me to work. Therefore, I will be going to London sometime next month. The earliest will be before Christmas, but the latest will be after Christmas. And yes, someone asked me, will I be able to meet you guys in Seattle. According to my trip, there won't be much time for me to stay in Seattle at the airport and go out. So I don't think I will be able to stop since the time that they provide me the rules and regulations in United States are much more strict than the Europe. And also Europe is more open. Therefore, those who live in England, Miss Sharon, hopefully we can meet together in the future. So I have to settle down in London first. So maybe in the future I can meet you guys too. But anyway, that's my plan. So hope to see you again next time in Buddhist Knowledge, Saturday after that. All right. Thank you, Miss Sharon. All right. Is there any question before we end our session today? Anything that wasn't clear? All right, Mr. Paul, go ahead.
Hi, Lopia. Just wondering, it's just a bit of a different question. If I sit to do chanting in front of a Buddha image or a picture of the Buddha, can I sit directly in front on the floor, or do I have to be to one side a little bit?
Well, one thing about that is, my bad. Let me spotlight myself. Okay. The question is, can you meditate or, can you do the chanting in front of the Buddha image? There is nothing wrong with that. Yes, you can, but make sure it's higher, not on the same level. Okay.
Okay.
If you put the Buddha image on the floor and you just sit in front of him on the floor too, on the same level. When you bow down, it will be on the same level, so that it will not be the place of, or the object for the respect. So make sure it's higher. That will be more appropriate. Okay, but yes, you can do that.
Thank you.
And it's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Oh, by the way, one thing, someone asked about the chanting. Since you mentioned that, should I do the chanting? Well, it's not the similar language that you do normally. The word in Thai is common. So if you're not used to it, it's nothing wrong. You can practice or listen. But what would it do to the meditation? Well, sometimes when we are just fresh out from work or travel or trip, when you are going to meditate, your mind are probably not ready or settled yet. By practice of chanting, it helps settle the mind. It helps you be more calm down. And whenever you finish chanting, this is what they normally do in the temple is after the chanting, they would normally meditate because that softens the mind and have it more focused and clear from the concerned matter. So when you do your chanting, make sure you focus on the chanting, not on the tablet or looking around, it won't work. I did that before, it won't work. But if you focus on the chanting, it worked. So keep that in mind, all right? So hopefully this helped. Anyone else? No? All right then, Miss Panda, it's your turn.
Actually, I have a question. May I raise a question? I'm sorry first that I have to ask this question because it just like popped up in my mind during you were teaching us during that time, because I don't have enough knowledge or information about this, but I just heard from news or something about GTM mentioned about the school, that we have 2 schools in Theravada, and I heard the news, something about that, about the, I'm sorry to ask this question, as just like curiosity in myself, because I heard the news that monk, I'm not sure that in which school, but I think it's like Mahayana, monk can like have families or something like that. So I just have a question regarding that, is that can you please give us like information about this? Is this good or not, and is opposed to Theravada Buddhism in some way, or yeah, I have just curiosity about that.
Okay, well, thanks for asking. Well, this is quite I would call delicate matter, but I just like to present I would say in my perspective or what the information that I have learned. Okay. In some places where Buddhism are only just the, I would call more like an occupation rather than religious practice. Therefore, that's the intensify of training the mind or incentivize of kind of like follow the teaching less than other country, like in Japan, for example, the monk can have a family life because, and those who become a monk, a Buddhist monk, is only run in the bloodline family. Cannot, if you wish to be a monk, there are some kind of condition or certain things that one must go in order to do. That is not like open for public. That kind of like in Thailand right now, in our temple, we like to have ordination. Anyone, any man just come. So we just invite people to come. You know, it doesn't work that way in Japan. You have to come learn as a disciple, gain the trust. Then they will let you into the family and marry their daughter, or something like that. So this is something that is more of a obligation than the willing or generally open to practice. So when it's like this, perform the right duty for the funeral rite in Japan is more like an occupation than the practice in religion, because also on the roots of the practice in its country is also have other religion before Buddhism, like in Shinto religion. That's therefore the practice and the belief are much more in the ground of the people than Buddhism. That's sometimes when you are seeing the monk, they do not dress like this. They just only have attached or something to their arm, showing that this is the monk, showing this they are the monk who give the ceremony rite, not like the monk who come shaving their head. They just live like normal people. But this, I think, April can also explain much more because she is in Japan more knowledgeable than I am. But all in all, just telling to you now that these are just the information that I learned. But either way, it's good I brought it out. But of course, hopefully my knowledge can answer to some of your questions. It's quite limited on this matter. Okay. All right, I think if not, then maybe it's time for group photo then.
All right, everyone, then it's our last session for today. If you don't have any questions further than this, so we'll take a group photo. Yes, Miss Glenda, please proceed your question if you have anything to share with us.
Oh, okay. Three
I
things.
wrote it.
Yeah, I am
Yes.
tapping right now.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. Meditation, the last one. All right, then now is the time.
Okay, then